Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Pretty excited to talk to these guys behind the curtain. Chuck Staton, right?
Yeah.
All right. And Brad Rohrer agreeing to disagree. The Chuck and Brad podcast. It was Rhode Island's first podcast, and they've been around for a couple years. So come on in, guys. Let's chat. You guys have something cool going on this coming weekend. 300th episode?
That's correct. That's right.
So cool. You guys are doing it live. This is super exciting. Tell me a little bit about what's going in to make this live and how people can come see you guys. This is so cool.
All right. I guess we'll start with the details. It's going to be Sunday night at FET in Providence.
Yep.
Doors are at 7:30. Show is at 8:30. It's 18 plus.
Very much 18 plus.
I mean,
no joke, 18 plus.
Yep.
Yeah, we're a little bit nervous about the legal ramifications of this show.
Oh my goodness.
So we didn't really fill in the venue or anything, but it's going to be a fun time.
We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah. But yeah, we do a podcast every week. So basically, we put it up online. It's called Agreeing to Disagree, the Chuck and Brad Podcast.
Right.
It's www.chuckandbradpodcast.com.
Right.
And that is a pre-recorded show where we kind of talk about topics. We'll interview bands, artists. This week we're going to have on Jeff Tremaine, who is the director of all the Jackass movies. We went to the Tribeca Film Festival, interviewed him. That's going to be awesome. But all that stuff is always pre-recorded. So what we do at our live shows, which we've only done 3 live so far.
Yeah.
Before now, right?
Yeah, right. Oh, yes. Well,
no, this is number 3.
I know. But this is the third one. So what we're going to do is it's more of like a stage show with film segments, live comedy segments. So it's more of like a comedy variety show live than it is the weekly podcast where we talk about movies. Oh, it's going to be very fun. We have we're going to do our own retelling of the story Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That's where your last name comes in?
Yes. We're going to try to incorporate that. We're doing a very morbid surprise for, I'm in a band called Senior Discount, our guitarist, Eric Maxud. We're doing a surprise for him that is really going to blow the roof off the place, and then we have a closing segment that is the reason that the show is 18 plus, that we've been holding back from the public. Brad has not wanted us to talk about this in public, but we are bringing it to the stage.
No,
we can't do it now.
Wait, can't talk about it now?
The surprise is part of it.
Give us a hint.
All we can say is
that there may be an adult-oriented film that will be shown that night.
Film. It's gonna be somebody talking about like paying taxes and having a more.
No, not that kind of. Not that kind of adult-oriented. But it's gonna be one for the books. And
it's true. If the first surprise is gonna blow the roof off of FET,
it's gonna blow heavens off of the top of the earth.
Yep.
By the way, Brad was saying that while we were in the green room.
Yeah.
There's somebody that works here named Kate. He said that he really liked her skirt and he started breathing really weird. What did you mean by that?
It's not a thing I said or thought.
No, you said it. That's right. You didn't.
I didn't
all
say
part
it.
of the show, guys.
Didn't happen.
All part of the show.
Happen.
It's not.
Don't
It's just
worry
real.
about it.
It's reality.
Okay, so let's get back on track here.
Yes, please.
So you guys have done. Well, I was looking at your podcast, and it says like episode 310.
Here's
is this
why.
kind of how the show works? Like,
Well, so I've been in a band for
things are relevant, but totally not relevant.
Well, I've been in a band for like over a decade.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of shows we've planned for January, February, March.
No, it goes January, March, February now.
And we put a lot of promotion time in, a lot of preparation in, and then the show gets snowed out because we live in Rhode Island.
It's Rhode Island. It happens.
So our 300th episode came in January, and we're like, we can set up one now, but we might get snowed out. But because of all the stuff we're doing, the amount of promotion and the amount of preparation we have to do, we said, let's just go from 299 to 301 on the weekly episodes, and we'll push 300 to when the weather is nicer.
Because it doesn't sound good to say, this is our 314th episode
Right.
Exactly.
You get it.
Exactly. So it's still our 300th milestone episode.
Right.
So.
Okay, I'll go for it.
Yes.
I took the bait. I have you here, right?
And honestly, I'd like to say too, like there's a little bit of a better, longer explanation of what the night's going to be like at chuckandbradpodcast.com, or look for Agreeing to Disagree, the Chuck and Brad Podcast on Facebook. There's a video there that is being shared by dozens, and it'll give you an explanation of what the night's going to be.
1.5 dozens, I guess. Still counts.
That's multiple dozens.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So, what goes into producing a live podcast?
Oh man, we've been working on the content for a while. We meet and write every week in terms of producing these scripted comedy segments and these filmed comedy segments. And I think what goes into it is just what we think is funny.
Yeah, and it is a lot of work. Like from here, we're going to go to the Providence Public Library and film, actually, with Matt DeChara from the Copaesthetics. And that's going to be a segment that we came up with 48 hours ago.
Yep.
That for the beginning of this. So it's really, really random. I'd say it's going to be, probably the ratio is 75% live comedy, 25% filmed comedy. But it's really working through stuff. And it's funny because it is kind of improvisational. We'll say, we'll have a note in our file that we'll have on stage that says like, talk about this.
Right.
And so we'll have a subject that we know we're going to talk about and bring up, but we kind of have to come up with the story beats and what the jokes are on the spot. It is a lot of work. It's super nerve-wracking. Less nerve-wracking for him, I think, than me because he's an improv guy. He does improv every week.
I've been doing improv with the Providence Improv Guild since it started almost 5 years ago now.
So
it is a little comfortable with that aspect of the show.
Exactly.
But in terms of the raucous rock and roll style personality, Chuck is in a band.
Yeah.
He's more comfortable with that aspect of it.
Yeah. I'm going to push it to the boundaries.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about that a little bit, just in terms of both of you, and we'll start with you, and we'll get to you. In terms of your performance backgrounds, how much does that help you both on the live scene, and then just in podcasting in general, being able to perform?
Right.
Because I think podcasting is a performance. You know, you have to feed off of each other, and you have to be able to talk about a wealth of topics. You know what I mean?
Well, it's weird. I have 10 years-ish of total improv experience, and that helps, obviously. That helps in every aspect of my life, where every conversation is easier if you yes and the situation. Everything's going to be more fun. But Chuck is so quick and so funny that it's like I feel like I'm scrambling just to keep up with him on just a weekly basis. And so I think having that performance aspect helps live in public because I'm not afraid of a crowd. I'm significantly more afraid of this camera.
It's horrifically intimidating.
Yeah, than I am a
a
crowd of X number of people. And then just in terms of the weekly podcast, it's a conversation between friends. That's what we are, and that's what the podcast is. So, anybody can have a conversation with their friends. We just happen to think our conversations are so entertaining that other people would want to listen to them. So
I think that I don't think I'm funnier or quicker than Brad. I think we kind of have a similar quickness and cleverness. But I think with Brad makes a lot of throwaway comments that are very judgmental, and I think that's just for him. That's just par for the course, and to me, that's where his comedy lives.
Yeah.
So I think that he just doesn't realize that that's his joke.
Just this calm demeanor where you'll say something and it's like,
Judgmental.
oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that it helps a lot. I mean, we've, my band Senior Discount, we've been playing for so long. We've played all over the East Coast. We've played tons of shows in front of thousands and thousands of people. And what eventually, pretty quickly came about was a big thing for us was being funny on stage.
Right.
So that kind of stage banter over many, many shows and many, many years probably did help me in terms of being able to feel comfortable committing and being comfortable in front of a lot of people and being able to think on the spot and trying to just trust my own judgment of what's funny. So that definitely helped. Plus, I have a degree in film and communications. Brad has a degree in German.
Nope.
No?
Also communications, public
In
relations.
German, some German.
I minored in German. That doesn't count. That's not a degree.
That counts as a
And then I
minor is a small major.
So we could be doing this whole interview in German right now?
Could have been.
Yeah, probably 75% of it.
You could basically be talking. I would just stand here like this.
Yeah.
But I think because of that, we've kind of we feel confident in our knowledge of the things we talk about.
Right.
So if we're the Fast and Furious movies are the best movies in the history of film, we know that to be true.
I got a grunt from back there from Tony Jones.
Was that Frankenstein's son?
We're comfortable talking about film and art and creativity.
Music,
and
comedy.
And one thing that we really focus on is trying to be positive.
Positive, yeah.
That's good.
And, if there is a movie that we saw that we didn't like, we want to talk about it in an intelligent way about what we didn't like about it or how the script could be fixed or changed.
That's a cornerstone of our podcast is interpreting things in a positive way. There's a lot of snark out there in the world. A huge amount of snark is the way that people kind of operate. I hate it. I see it on Facebook. I see it on, any social platform, podcasting and stuff. And I think that a lot of people have that as a cornerstone of judgment. And I think it almost exposes you as being ignorant. To be honest, I think that trying to say, if you see something that you don't like a band or a movie, anything, trying to find the positives, find what they're trying to do, bridge that. You can realize that it's not for you. You can realize where they could improve, but trying to find the positives is kind of what we look at as a podcast and as artists, I think.
Yeah.
So if we see a movie that we're man, this movie was pretty good. This didn't work. We'll actually do an episode called Chuck and Brad Fix. So for X-Men Days of Future Past, we did Chuck and Brad Fix X-Men Days of Future Past, where we fixed all the continuity errors.
Right.
And so we'd rather reinterpret it in a positive way than being like, that was, that sucked or something like that. Right. We never want to say that. We never want to say, I hate that or that sucked, ever.
How important is it to stay positive but still try to be funny at the same time? Because how often do you see people being funny out there but are totally putting other people down in the process?
That's
right?
true. Yeah. It's interesting too because we both do stand-up comedy. Yeah. Basically, if there is an art form, we do it. Right. No, but we do a lot of different things. We do.
By the way, we have
comedy.
A ballet performance coming up.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
That's next.
We do, but it is funny because that kind of stuff is kind of judgmental or critical.
Right.
But you start thinking that true observational comedians, they kind of find the hilarity in something and not the I hate this in something.
You want to poke holes in things.
Yeah, if you think of Jerry Seinfeld, he doesn't say I hate that this button is too low. It's a whole thing about why is this button so low, and it's an exploration. So I still think that falls on the side of fun criticism, right?
Totally.
As opposed to just negativity.
Let's talk a little bit about podcasting.
Sure.
You guys were kind of touching base on some of the things that you talk about, some of the things that you explore, talking about critiquing movies and talking about music. Let's start with you, Brad. Talk to me about some of your favorite people that you've interviewed over the years, or some of the segments that you've talked about. I mean, we're going into episode 300-ish.
Yes, that's probably the right way to phrase it.
Answer a little bit so you can think.
Yes. Chuck can go first.
Yeah.
Okay, Chuck, let's start with you, and then we'll go to you, Brad.
I'll say one of my favorite interviews was we interviewed Chris, one of the lead singers of the band Less Than Jake. It's because I've looked up to them for so long. I'm writing songs, my band is a punk band, so writing songs in the same style. So being able to pick his brain about writing and different moments of importance in the band's career was a really big deal to me. And then probably my favorite moment overall was this past Christmas. We did a 2-hour episode where it was teams of 4, Team Brad and Team Chuck. We had 3 judges that were our friends and a timekeeper, my brother. So there was 12 people on mics, and we did Christmas games. One of them was a challenge to make up a new "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" poem about the other team. One of them was Christmas trivia. Which Christmas song was originally a Thanksgiving song? You won't get this. It's Jingle Bells. Can you believe that?
I was going to say 12 days
originally
of
a Thanksgiving song.
Originally 12 days of Thanksgiving.
So we had these Christmas games where it was 12 of us, 12 friends. And part of the games were sharing stories and finding out which ones were true, which ones were false. But the night was the best Christmas night that anyone ever had.
It was amazing.
It was honestly, I was amazing. Everyone in that room was so thankful for the coming together and doing that. We were all dressed in Christmas outfits and eating Christmas cookies. There's footage, and then the episode is a picture perfect group of friends is what that holds. And I don't think that a lot of people have that. And I feel like podcasting gives you that. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but when I was painting my house and I was moving in for 4 months, I worked in my house, and I was doing it mostly alone. And I really got into this podcast called Tell 'em Steve Dave, which is Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers and Walt and Brian from Comic Book Men. They do a podcast together, and because of their camaraderie and friendship, and that podcast is all about just friendship. It's not news. It's not entertainment news. It just really helped me through painting for hours every day because I got to relate to this bond, and I feel like I want us to provide that kind of bond for other people. Favorites for you, buddy?
Oh man, we've done a lot of interviews with local artists and local musicians and local comedians. Our friend Nick Cole is a freelance artist who did work for Disney, and we also grew up in Austria, so talking to him about his life, and this is a conversation that we had over the course of 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Yeah.
That when you're hanging out with someone just socially, you get that information. You just get it over such a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So being able to kind of concentrate it and learn about that person is super fascinating. We did an episode called "Is Everyone Just Lonely All the Time?" where we talked about loneliness and our relationship to that, and being able to explore that pretty serious topic and look at it through our unique lens. Was super fun and super interesting to talk about because, again, it's a subject that you don't have conversations about.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say I'm lonely sometimes.
Last Friday night I stayed in ate Chinese food by myself, and I was hoping my friends would text me and I wouldn't. That stuff happens to a lot of people, and people don't really put that out there. They're not going to Instagram, "Hey, lonely on my couch," hashtag YOLO. I don't know. No one puts that side of them out there. Everyone puts out the coolest part of that, the coolest part of their lives. but everyone has these moments of depth, and we're like, let's explore that live. Not live, but let's explore that and record it for 90 minutes and really get into our feelings about it.
I'll say I Instagram, like, I'm eating Chinese food on my couch by myself, and I love it.
Leave me alone.
That is the highlight of his life, though.
Yes. Hashtag this is amazing. Yeah, I'll take it. It's fun.
And here's my cat.
Yeah.
Selfie.
Yeah.
Just kind of as we wrap things up, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about podcasting in general, kind of what you've seen over the course of, you guys have been doing this for 8 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So over the course of these 8 years, and how you've seen things grow and change in the media of podcasting, and kind of how you see it evolving from here on out.
Well, I think firstly, it's become more widely known. If Barack Obama can go on the Mark Maron podcast,
right? Yeah,
like, that's a big deal for podcasting.
I agree.
And there are so few barriers to entry that anyone can do it. Like, I firmly believe everyone has a story to tell, and it's a matter of stick-to-itiveness of whether or not people continue doing it for 8 years or for 1 year or whatever. So I think just seeing the number of podcasts has proliferated over the past 8 years, and also kind of the acceptance of podcasts. We were talking the other day about the weird line between journalists and their subjects, as well as podcasters and their subjects. And journalists, you want to be objective and relate just the facts, the 5 W's and an H.
You don't want to become part of the story.
Right, but with podcasters, you're naturally part of the story because it's your personality and you're kind of conducting the interview. So it kind of blurs the lines, especially with subjects from the entertainment world.
Right. And I want to say real quick, if you comment on this video, we're going to pick someone at random and give them 2 free tickets to our live podcast this Sunday, May 7th in FET. So please just comment on this video, and we're going to pick someone at random. I just want to throw that in. Sorry.
Good.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
I agree with him, though. I think the medium is great because it allows kind of, the idea of Mark Maron's podcast, which is kind of one of the most famous podcasts. If he wants to go 2 hours with a guest, he'll go 2 hours with a guest. And I think that kind of room for breathing really gives you a place of depth and bonding that people crave, as listeners, I mean.
Yeah.
So
There's so few restrictions on content. If you're like, what, I really want to talk about quilting, start a quilting podcast. Awesome.
That's one of the things I keep telling people. I'm like, podcasting is the new punk rock because it's a couple of people getting in front of a couple of microphones.
And talking about quilting. Like punk rock.
But just completely unfiltered with whatever they care about, putting it out there for other people who care about the same thing, being as passionate as they want to be. And I think that really makes sense to me as the new punk rock.
Do you think that's good to have so much out there, or does it weigh everything down to be able to have all that?
Me and Brad have a phrase called TMS.
Yep.
It's too much stuff.
It's too much stuff.
So if we're like, man, I want to see this movie, and this movie, and this movie, and this movie, and this movie.
And watch this Netflix series, and read this book, and play this video game. Like,
and podcasts,
there's
the same thing.
Too much stuff.
Yeah, I probably subscribe to 50 weekly podcasts. Yeah. I am not listening to 50 podcasts a week. It's just, it's almost, think of it as like a problem of the spoiled, is having too much great stuff to experience.
Cool.
Plus, maybe it makes the best rise to the top and get on Go Local Prov.
Yep.
I don't know, other Rhode Island podcasts.
Once they hit 300, maybe that's the bar we've just set. I don't know. I didn't say that.
I don't see Tony Jones in this studio.
Yes,
I hear him though.
No, I totally saw Terry Jones in the studio.
All right. Well, on that note,
I'll walk into your car.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Step on you on the way out there. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. Good luck. So it's this Sunday.
May 7th, this Sunday at FET Music Hall. Chuck and Brad, our 300th episode live, super 18 plus. Please remember that. Don't come and walk out.
Super 18 plus. Love it. Congratulations to the both of you.
Thank
Pleasure
you.
to meet you. Keep me updated on all things Chuck and Brad. Let's
Thank
take
you
a
very much.
picture,
Awesome.
and then I'm kicking you guys out of here.
That's fair.
Oh,
That's
except
usually-
I turned my voice
Your
on.
phone's talking to her.
Siri, give me tickets to Chuck
I
and
did
Brad.
this new update
Remember
on my
to
phone.
order Chinese food tonight.
Hashtag YOLO.
Don't tell anyone.
Hashtag by myself.
This is your life.
Oh, I cut you off.